stage is to take your big ball of yarn and find the very end. You then want to measure out 30 centimetres from the tail end of your yarn and keep a note of that point, which you'll then create a slip knot at. To create your slip knot, take your yarn, bring it round in a loop so that the yarn's crossing over at the top. You then want to put your hand in the middle and pull the yarn through and pull it tight like that. You've then got your adjustable loop, and you want to make sure that the top is about 3 inches long. So now you've made your slip knot, we'll pop the tail end of the yarn to one side, and you'll now be using the working yarn which is attached to your big ball of yarn. We want to create 10 stitches, and to do this you take your first loop, the stitch knot, that becomes your first stitch. You'll pop your hand through this loop and grab the yarn, pull it through to create a similar sized loop to your slip knot, and that is your second stitch. So to do that, you put your hand through your previous stitch, pull the yarn through to create your next loop, and we want to make sure that we've got 10 of those. So this is our first 3. You can count them by seeing where the loops go round. So we've got 1, 2, 3, so I'll make 7 more so that we've got a row of 10. So you should now have 10 stitches, so we can count those together now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next, we need to connect the chain into a circle. To do this, we take our hand, go from the front and pull it through from the back. That creates our first new loop. You'll then find the next little bump, pop your hands through, pull the yarn through to create your next loop. We'll carry on going all the way around until it looks like a little flower. So I've put the tail ends of the yarn just in the middle of the circle to keep that out of the way, and now I'll carry on going round and adding loops to all of those outside stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, make sure you're keeping them all kind of the same size as well, 7, 8, 9, and our final one, 10. So now in total we should be able to count round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now our next step is to work back in to all of these loops around the edge. To do this, you'll take your first loop. This was your original 10th loop on our long line before, and we'll pull the yarn, so putting our hand from the front, pulling the yarn, pulling it over and up onto the top, and that's our first stitch of our next round or our next row. Then we will go straight into the next one, pulling it through and pulling it out, and we'll continue around the whole circle again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I went straight back through that 10th one again, and this is the start of our 3rd row. Now for this next row, we'll keep the tail in the middle there so that it's out of our way. What we want to do is turn your whole piece of work over so that we're now seeing the back, raising up the sides slightly so that we can start to see the cushion shape forming. You'll then carry on going in and out of these loops, making another row upon the last until we get back to the start again. And doing it this way means that your stitches will all start to curve in and we'll start to get that nice cushion shape, a 3D shape, rather than the flat shape that we had before. So carry on going round. So far we've got that half done, and then we'll go through this one. Don't worry if it all kind of falls down. Sometimes it's just to make sure that we're not working completely flat, but so that we're starting to mould the shape of your cushion. Okay. The next stage is to carry on knitting into our loops for another 5 rows approximately. It doesn't have to be exactly that, it will just make your pillow slightly bigger the more rows you do. So around 5 more rows going around your circle, making loops into the previous loops. Okay, so I'm about halfway through my extra rows and you can see that I'm beginning to build up my cushion shape nicely by going in and out, creating loops on all of the little edge loops as we go around. So to show you the stitch again, we go from the front to the back, put it through from the back to the front and make sure that the loop's a couple of inches long, and we carry on going around. So now you should have gone round the top of your cushion about 5 times. Don't worry if you've lost count, as long as it looks about this kind of size, it will be perfect. At the end, what you want to do is keep knitting until you have about this much yarn left. When you get to that point, we'll attach our cushion together, and I'll show you that in our next step. So we've laid our work out flat onto the table, and you'll be able to count upwards here how many stitches you have by locating the little V shapes that we've got going up our knit. It doesn't matter too much, you can have anywhere between 6 to 10 stitches going upwards. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've got about 11 stitches going upwards, and now we're going to make it into our cushion. We'll start by connecting the bottom of your cushion together, and then we'll move on to connecting the top. So we've got the bottom of our cushion here and our tail end of yarn. You'll weave this in and out of all of the edge bumps that you see on your cushion. Okay, there's another one there. As you go, you can start to pull it in slightly. You want to go in and out of each one so that it will create a really nice pattern at the bottom of your pillow. In and out of this one, in and out of this one, in and out of this one. And we've got back to the start. I'm just going to go through this one to secure it, and we'll pull it together. So now you can see that the bottom of your pillow is starting to take shape nicely, and you can now tuck your rest of your tail through another loop, pull it nice and tight, and tuck it into the middle of your cushion. We can neaten that up again slightly at the end once we've put together the top. You'll flip around your cushion so that we can see all of these little loops at the top, and we've got our tail end of yarn which we're going to weave in and out of each of those loops. I'm not going to worry about stuffing mine today because it will hold quite a nice shape anyway, but this is the step where you would do so. So once you've put your yarn through all of the loops, you can then pull the end of the tail tight and adjust your pillow a little bit. And you just want to tuck the end of your tail back through the middle hole of your cushion. And you can adjust it a little bit. And you're done.